Just get started with our agenda. So public input would be first, and I don't see anyone who's not public. I'm checking the list. And correspondence, again, all the correspondence that we have is directly related to our projects. There's nothing else that I saw Kathy later this afternoon, and there wasn't anything else that came in. So we have approval of the regular meeting minutes. So I make a motion that we approve the minutes of our regular meeting, July 28, 2020. I need a second. Gil seconds. And everybody received those way ahead because we were supposed to meet last week and you've had time to look at them. So I'll just ask if we have any additions, corrections, anything that anybody has with the minutes. Don't see anybody waving so we're good to go. Let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And I don't know if we have any abstentions. Let me look at where the minutes are. So John Perna would be the only one who would have to abstain, but he's not here. So that passes. Back and then into our old business for the school projects. I know that Christine and Terry are going to need to jump off to go to a Board of Finance meeting shortly. So before we have Ken start, Christine, did you want Ken to go get started, or do you want any input to start with?
No, I mean, I think I'd like to hear Ken's report. I feel like we're in good shape for the start of the school year, which makes me happy. So that's the big news. But can I just add one thing that's a little bit unrelated, Nancy?
Okay.
So every year in the spring, in May, we have a awards dinner, and we honor our teachers. It's our Teacher of the Year banquet, and we have a couple of community awards that we give out. And because of COVID this year, we couldn't have our awards banquet. But one of the awards is called Friends of Bethel. And it's community members that have made a significant impact on our school system. And we honor them for that. And so this year, I am giving the award to the Building Site Committee for all of your dedication to the project. I know the hours and hours and hours of work that goes into this. And I wish we could have all been in the Amber Room and like honoring you there. But unfortunately, we could not have that because of COVID. So instead, I'm just expressing my gratitude now. And as part of our convocation ceremony, which will all be virtual this year, we're going to do a special recognition for the Building Site Committee. So I just wanted, and when I eventually can get you all in a room, we will take your picture and it's going to be hung in the Board of Ed hallway. So I just want to let you know that we are eternally grateful for the hours and hours and work that you give for the Bethel Public Schools. So that was a little side note for that, for the award.
Thank you, Christine. This is a surprise. I had no idea. But,
again, I wish we could have been enjoying a drink in the Amber Room and having this, but we're doing it in a Zoom instead. So on behalf of the Bethel Public Schools, I really do want to thank you for all the time and effort. And I don't have anything specific that I want to jump into, just interested in hearing where we are and Ken's report.
Okay, well, thank you, Christine, and everybody, but obviously we do work hard, and it's great to receive that recognition. And as I said, it's quite a surprise. So thanks. So then, Ken, are you ready with Pick a School and start on your report?
Sure. So for Johnson, on the first page is always the work from the last report, and I've 100%ed anything that we've completed. So I'll give you more of the highlights rather than go through every single item.
That would be good.
If you want to go to the next page, Geraldine, it'll basically show you where we're at. We're going to be doing site work, sidewalk, parking lot, and that's including paving, which we're doing the binder course at Johnson tomorrow. And we should get pretty close to 80% of it. There's going to be one roadway going in that's not going to be done. And they're moving along right now with the sidewalks. They're with the sidewalks alone, probably close to 75% after today's pour, maybe even a little more than that. So that's coming along pretty good right now. And that'll help with all the traffic going in and out of the building with dirt and everything. So the final paving date is important to everybody because of the movers coming. And right now the date that I have is Wednesday, which works out with Bob's moving schedule on Monday and Tuesday. So that's where it stands right now, Wednesday of next week.
Hey, Ken,
Yes.
I was out there last week and it was quite a way away as far as from paving at that time. And they were putting in some conduits for the electrical kind of after the thought. I was actually a little surprised after the compaction had been done with the process. I'm a little bit concerned between the binder and the finished course, in that things settle down, being how fast-tracked everything has happened. Is there any
Those
consideration?
conduits are for site lighting, so they're outside the footprint of the paving itself.
No, not where it was, not where I took pictures of it. It went right through the bus loop.
Yeah, I think what you're looking at is there was from the flagpole to, it might have even been a sign. Yes, that runs right through the roadway there. And that had a pretty good saddle, I would say, over the last 2 or 3 days. So we'll mention that to earth movers.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned. Things are rushing along very well, and which is fine. But the reason for the binder and the finish, it's sometimes when they're moving that quickly, we got to give it a little time. And I just don't want to see settling going on after the fact, which I think we're going to see some.
That is the one spot that they're not paving tomorrow. So we'll make sure that we get STL to do proper testing, which we have been doing with all of the sidewalks and we'll do it for all the paving as well.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one area. So for the other site work items, we've got the fence up for the detention pond and the topsoil in there. So that the fence is half completed because we had to complete the topsoil on the backside. But right now the kids would be safe from having to, nobody wandering into the detention pond. And then the gym painting and the backboards are being installed. They're, I think, 50% complete. The concrete for the outdoor amphitheater concrete's complete. It just needs to be rubbed in. We're going to be putting the brick on it and finishing some of the base for the sidewalk along the building, which is going to be needed for the school opening. And so when we get into the second floor, we're pretty much wrapping up with painting, ceiling tiles. The lockers are still ongoing. There's a little bit of millwork left. Few tops that we've got coming in, and marker boards and tack boards pretty close to being completed up there. So for the most part, it's balancing and startups. For the first floor, we still have some insulation. We have ceiling tiles to put in, and the above ceiling inspections are ongoing. And the millwork is is probably a little further along than this right now. They've been going at it on overtime with a couple of crews, so that's going along pretty good. Flooring is going along as well, which is probably a little more than 30%. Because he's got the carpet tiles, those went a lot quicker. So like the whole office area is all carpet tiled, and I would say we're definitely over 60% with the flooring on the first floor. The music area is pretty much the way they were, just some windows went in. The talked about the paving and the fencing, and kitchen equipment connections are being done. All the electrical and plumbing for the sinks, and the Ansel system was installed and is just waiting now for startup. And then really haven't had much activity in the cafeteria because of the other areas taking precedence. So pretty much that's it for Johnson right now.
Hey, Ken, quick question. This is Bob G. Hey, has Laura expressed any cleaning for the kitchen equipment to include that walk-in?
Yeah, I walked with her on Friday, Bob.
Yeah.
We didn't get so much into cleaning, and it's her initial visit. She's going to come back this week as well. As much as separation of kitchen from workspace as from a dust standpoint. But I'll make sure I talk to her about, cleanup of kitchen, final cleanup of kitchen equipment, and include the walk-ins as well.
Okay, thank you.
So, Ken,
Mhm.
we look good with where we are right now with Johnson as far as having a place for kids to be when school opens. in
We
September?
are right down to the 11th hour of the 28th day of this month. There's still work to be done in there, but we are pushing it.
Yeah, so you're and you're set obviously for Johnson has to have the move of students in from Barry, so we have to be ready for that. So we have a way for the buses to come in and drop the students off, a way for the students to enter the building, and then we have classrooms for them to go to. We will.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Jim,
Yes. Sir.
this is Bob. Has Tommy signed off on fire exiting?
We've spoken about it. We have a general understanding, especially of the exit. A couple of areas where he's looking to give shoot type areas to get the kids out. But we haven't put anything to paper yet, but we'll do that this week with him. We've got him out this week.
Yeah, because he doesn't like surprises, last minute stuff.
No, I've walked through it with him myself. So we've
Okay.
got both schools and gone through where the egress has been. We just haven't put it to paper.
All right, very good. Thank you.
So we're ready to look at Rockwell?
Okay. Okay, for Rockwell, same thing, first page. Work from last report and work that we've completed 100%, we've noted here. And then for the work in progress, the prep for the front drive paving is pretty much complete. And we're just waiting for the date for the binder there. It was either going to be Thursday or Friday, but I don't have confirmation from the pavers yet. The demo and prep and new walks in the front are pretty close to complete. The portable concrete piers have been removed, so that area is now going to get ready for the drainage that goes in there.
The portables are all gone?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
And for phase 2, the media center, we have the CMU that was sitting on top of that beam removed, put the new metal stud wall up, and sheetrocked it. It's got another coat of compound to go on it, and then we'll paint it probably later this week. The painter's going to get up there, and he's going to also finish any areas that he may have missed or failed to paint before. So he's going to fix that area up before, by Saturday. And then the main office, there's a little touch-up paint, and the flooring at the workroom, I think, is tomorrow. So there's carpet tile that we have to put down there where the PCB flooring was removed, the concrete. And then for the first floor classrooms, there's going to be above ceiling inspections so that we can put the tiles in. The casework is all but complete. Painting is pretty much complete. Flooring and base, same, pretty much complete. And then the nurses area, also the casework was installed. There's some plumbing that has to happen for some of the sinks in there. And we know that we've got the curtains to go and some other finishes, but it's painted. The flooring's done. So there's some finish work left in that area. Not much going with the music special ed. I mean, it's painted, and the roofer is working on the wood blocking. The kitchen connections, same thing. We have the equipment in, and it's just all the plumbing and electrical connections are being done. And then we have one small containment for some PCB slab removal, and that's probably going to be removed tomorrow, so that'll be done. And the CAF, they were doing some metal studding between the curtain walls, and they were working on some of the soffits for some of the chiller piping along the wall. There's some work going on in there, and some other MEP rough as well. Not much work has been going on in the gym this time, and other activities that are coming are going to be the toilet partitions in the lockers. So we've got the toilet partitions coming. It's either going to be tomorrow or Thursday, but then we'll follow up with the toilet accessories. So we'll have the bathrooms ready, and the lockers will be put in, and then we have a little bit of solid surface material that goes on top of the lockers that we'll have to get done. And that should take care of the finishes for the first grade classrooms. That's it.
Okay, so I know that we have, as far as people asking questions, we do have a report coming up from Rick Bielecki on commissioning. So if there's anything specific that's going to be sort of related to commissioning, we'll hear Rick's report first. But if you have questions for Ken on either Rockwell or Johnson, Ken or Jim, do definitely bring them up now.
This is just probably a question for Geraldine, not for Ken and Jim. But the old paging system that's in the main office, the one circa 1968, Bob, I don't know. Is it dead? So what are we doing with that? Are you going to just throw it out?
For me?
Somebody, I mean, it's got to go.
We were going to bring it to a museum.
You might want to. But is that because it's ugly and it's taking up space? So when they do the cleaning, it should be out. Is it something that we're just going to get rid of, dump?
Yeah,
or-
we'll get rid. I think Trish just wanted the microphone, and that's been saved.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll definitely get rid of it.
Okay.
Hey, Ken, I had a couple of questions.
Yes.
Could you just go back through the roof as far as the damaged ductwork and, what's going on there? Because I see some of the stuff from the commissioning pictures that really don't look very favorable to a quality job. So I'm just trying to get a feel for what is going on up there.
And just for the record, I'm on the call as well. This is Rick Bielecki with IES. I apologize. I'm signed in under my daughter's name. I had some issues with my laptop, but just for the record, I am on the call. I will jump in on that after Ken. I just wanted to let everybody know I am here.
All right. So they've replaced the damaged ductwork, and they've resealed the ductwork that had cracks or needed resealing. And right now, I believe that it has to get re-insulated and re-inspected.
So I was on site yesterday. Let me just jump in. I was on site yesterday for a better part of the day. And I did review the ductwork on the roof of Rockwell. In general, the guys did a great job resealing the duct. So all of the associated units, the 2 DOAS units, the exhaust fans, everything does look good from a ductwork standpoint, but I do have a couple of concerns. My concerns would be, the first one would be on the associated flex ductwork on the supply and the return side of the DOAS units, the dedicated outdoor air units, and the exhaust fans. Off of each unit, there is a rubber flex duct, and the ductwork was hanging on a good part of those units. So there is some wear on that rubberized connection. So that's the first concern. The second concern I have is the duct hangers. I understand the ductwork will be re-insulated, and I am in agreement with that. But my concern is what's going to happen with the associated duct hangers, and what is the plan to replace those? Because I don't want to see ductwork re-insulated and then hangers adjusted and then something happening down the line. So that's the second concern. The third concern is the associated ductwork off one of the DOAS units that was already insulated with a sheet metal exterior ductwork, where there was some water found inside of that that has to be further evaluated. But at this point, those are, and again, I haven't gotten an email on this. I apologize. Like I said, I was just on site yesterday, but those are my 3, concerns at this point. But the duct in general does look good, but it is those 3 points that, I do need to further evaluate with, Rizzo and the construction team.
Good, Rick. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. Kind of dovetails into what Rick was saying. Will the filters be also changed as well?
So actually, to kind of go into that, Bob, above and beyond the filters, the concern I have above and beyond that is duct cleaning is also going to have to occur, because the duct work, as we observed on the roof, is also needs to be cleaned. So it's filters and duct work cleaning as well.
And Rick, they have been out there. I forget the name of the company. Actually, I had mentioned to you, but they've been out there probably end of last week, and I'm surprised you didn't see them there yesterday, but they were there today as well.
Oh, excellent, excellent. That's great.
So I had a question asked of me. Basically, someone who had reviewed Geraldine's report, under risks and opportunities, both buildings will be commissioned according to the original specifications, blah, blah, blah. But there was, in her report, a comment, not sure if they were going to be, both buildings are behind on the latest published schedule. Now, obviously, the report was written before our meeting that was supposed to happen on August 11th. And I'm assuming that we've done some catch up and are working towards being on schedule with the commissioning, et cetera.
Yeah, we've been trying to work with Rick to make sure that he's up to date as to what the repairs are up to. And, the 3 issues he mentioned, we are aware of. We've spoken to Rick about those. We have plans. We'll go over them with him. But I'll let Rick speak for himself, obviously. But we're trying to keep him as clued into this as possible.
And I will say that report was issued originally on August 7th. So
Right.
10 days has been a long time on this project,
Yep.
and there has been a significant amount of work accomplished.
Right, and that was my
Absolutely.
assumption.
Yep,
Yeah.
and since that time, I've met with Jim and Ken on site twice, and I've also met with all the folks from Action Air as well on site. So there has been several meetings, and in general, the overall duct, in relation to what it does look like as part of that report, it does look very good. Like I said, there's just those few concerns at this point that have to be vetted out.
Right, and as I said, that was my assumption, but I wanted to just, clarify and make sure.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nancy. I had the same concerns, Rick. So same thing. So I
that we were
appreciate
still
it.
moving right along. And yeah, so that
Hey, Rick,
Yes, Bob.
you produced a commissioning document dated the 14th.
what happens when reports are issued previous to a meeting and then the meeting gets canceled.
A report dated the 14th. Okay.
There it is. It's on the screen now.
Yep.
Are the items that you pointed out there, did you see those? Have they been repaired?
So we can scroll down. I know this was issued by Michaela as part of my team. Actually, if we go back to the top, we could start at the very first item to that. DOAS 2, the access door. When I was on site yesterday, the crew was aware of that, and it was in process of being addressed. Yes. So the first item is in process. On this particular page, DOAS 2, the rubber flex duct, that is not addressed. That's what I had mentioned earlier on at this meeting. That's one of the concerns of just some of the wear on the rubber duct itself. So that is something we do have to talk about. The insulated ductwork near DOAS 2 on the associated holes, all of that was fixed. That item is closed.
Good.
All of this where all these associated gaps in the ductwork where we had referenced SMACNA requirements and had concerns for leaking. In general, these items have been addressed, yes. So we did not observe any ductwork with any cracking or any splitting as shown in these pictures based on yesterday's review. Again, this is strictly a visual review, but there were no cracks in any of the ductwork there. And Rizzo did have, when we were on site yesterday, all of the ductwork was visible, aside from that one unit that we mentioned that was still insulated, that we couldn't see the duct. But aside from that, we were able to see everything on the roof yesterday. And in general, the team from the mechanical contractor did go through, and everything does seem as if it's very well sealed at this point at all the joints. So I would say this particular item is closed. This goes hand in hand with my last comment. These items were addressed as well. Yes.
That duct has legs.
Yep. Yep. So that duct that was replaced was bent alongside. That bent duct was fixed.
Was it fixed or replaced? I'm sorry, this is David Horvath. How you doing?
The associated bent duct as shown in this picture was replaced. A majority of the ductwork where there was cracks in the existing duct sealant, a lot of that was sanded down and re-insulated. So anything that was bent was replaced. The exact duct that was replaced, that just needed sealant, I don't believe much of that was above and beyond. It was just any damage to the duct, such as holes in the ducts, bent ductwork, and ductwork that was damaged. All of that was replaced. But anything that did have duct sealant, that was sanded down to a smooth surface and then re-insulated. So again, this particular picture on exhaust fan 3, this kind of just talks about some of the concerns on the rubber flex duct connections. That talks about the concerns on, it's typical to all the rubber flex connections, on all the DOAS units and all the exhaust fans. This item, I don't want to say is opened or closed. This is something that we need further discussion on to understand whether this should, what should happen in this particular instance. So we're not getting a product that is, already worn. The image shown below exhaust fan 3 shows the exterior ductwork that's insulated, that has a sheet metal insulation above it. And what we did was we actually drilled the bottom of that. The mechanical contractor drilled the bottom, and there was a fair amount of water that was observed that came out of the bottom of that duct that we do have on video. So that's another item that is considered open. So what is happening in that between that sheet metal, the insulation, and the exterior of the galvanized ductwork, of why does that have water? So that particular item is also opened.
Are there concerns of that water that was sitting still or whatever contaminating the rest of the ductwork downstream?
The ductwork itself, I mean, it is a galvanized duct that's on the roof. My concern that I would have is really deteriorating any of the insulation that's on that duct. What insulation is on that? It's obviously not again, I think my concern would be the insulation that's around the duct and possibly some surface rust building up on the ductwork as well. Yes.
But what about what I'm getting at? I'm sorry, I should have been more clear. On the inside of the ductwork, that water, if it sits stagnant while the unit's off at night, things could grow. Are we concerned that if that happens, they could be spread downstream from the duct to the diffusers to the classrooms?
So I'm not concerned from the interior ductwork because there are no penetrations to my knowledge. And again, Rizzo, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no penetrations to my knowledge on the exterior duct to the interior duct in any of these locations that would create any mold or any other type of contaminants that would enter the interior of the duct. My concern would be from an exterior duct standpoint of hindering the R value of the insulation and hindering the associated exterior of the duct and creating some wear on the exterior of the duct. But at this point, I'm not so much concerned on the interior, but actually, so that's actually, now that I think about this, I think the biggest question now becomes, is the duct sealant? Because we saw the way the remainder of the duct looked. So I guess it really depends upon how does that duct sealant look. If it was compromised, then absolutely the water will enter the duct and there could be contaminants that enter the duct if the duct sealant was compromised. If it was not compromised, then I think we're okay. So that's really the unknown at this particular time.
So what the plan there, Rick, is we've got to remove a piece because the waterproofing itself of the insulation comes from the layer beneath that protective, call it a tin layer. That tin layer has
Correct.
hundreds of screws in it, so penetration's through it. So once we take that piece off, we'll go over that with the engineer of record also to say, look, here's the envelope that you create with this wrap that's underneath the tin. that's supposed to give you your watertight, how is this tin going to be watertight if we're putting, 1,000 sheet metal screws into the top of it? That's kind of where we're at with that. And I haven't put that to bed yet, but we will, as far as getting input from the engineer of record on it.
No, agree completely. And I mean, I would suggest, there's a substantial amount of that duct on the roof. I would say, let's start with a 10-foot section perhaps, based on where we drilled that insulation. Let's take off a 10-foot section and just understand what's there and what we
Sure.
have to further evaluate.
We'll put that into play.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Dave Horvath, does that seem to answer your question, sir?
Not really. I would like to be there next time you guys do a walkthrough, if that's possible. I'd appreciate it.
Dave, Rick and I, yes, I'm planning, there will be a member of my team on site later this week, but I will be on site next Tuesday, if that works for you. I'll be on site for a majority of the day if you'd like to meet up at all.
Great. I will plan on it. Thank you very much.
Sounds good, Dave. Thank you.
Hey, Dave, check on wet filters as well.
You betcha. What time would be good for you guys? I'll move stuff around.
Tuesday, I'll probably plan to be on site for a better half of the, probably the whole first half of the day. So I'd say anytime after 8:30, between 8:30 and 12.
Okay, I'll make it happen. Thank you.
And I'm sure you have my cell phone contact information. Just, I'm sure you know how to get a hold of me when you're on site.
I'll have to look and see. I'm about 500 emails behind on both my personal.
And I'll make sure, Dave, that that you have that info if you need it.
Thank you, Nancy.
Sure.
I appreciate that.
So anything more from Rick, or so are we got more pages to go here?
Not really, just extra pictures.
Yeah, those are just additional pictures.
Okay, and that's all Rockwell?
That is just the Rockwell roof, yes.
Okay. And then is there anything else on commissioning that you want to report to us, so that we need to have reported to us from Rockwell in general?
So on Rockwell, Area A, we are in process of reviewing the associated electrical and IT in all the classrooms. We've reviewed all the locations. We've reviewed all the associated pulls to those locations. And at this point, the contractor is in process of installing the final outlets at the associated locations. The lighting for Area A was spot checked and tested for functionality based on switching, based on spot checking some general light levels. But again, it was light out, so we kind of did the best we could. But what we do have to coordinate for lighting is, and again, we have to talk to Rizzo on this, is just the manufacturer's rep coordinating with them from the lighting standpoint. Area A, we're in process of reviewing all of the controls, all the point-to-point controls right now with ESC. We're going through, we're reviewing all the points from the Honeywell controllers back to their main junction boxes. Sprinkler heads, all sprinkler heads were reviewed based on the plans. We're in process of going through and reviewing seismic. The seismic is something we have to go back and look at. I know originally when we looked at sprinkler head locations, it was not installed. So again, we do have to go back and look at seismic on all the mains.
We don't have any for this project, Rick.
There is no seismic. Okay. Is that signed off on?
Yes.
Okay, we'll talk offline on that.
Okay.
So the seismic, seismic we'll talk about. HVAC fan coil units. We've reviewed all the fan coil units, all the piping, the valves, the duct work. At this point, we're in process of just, it's at this point, we're just waiting for power to be turned on in the Rockwell. This might have happened today, just for the balancer to switch over to Rockwell. But in Rockwell Area B, we're in process of reviewing the associated chilled water piping, valves, components, the remainder of the duct that's being installed and insulated, and the point-to-point on the VAV fan coil units as well on Area B. Any questions on Rockwell before I jump over to Johnson?
Rick?
Yes.
Rick? What about, hey, Rick, this is Bob.
Hey, Bob.
What about the chiller? Is the chiller connected?
The chiller, so the piping is connected to the chiller, but they are in process of finalizing the connections. It was not finalized. That is in process. It's not completed at this point, but it is in process.
Anything else from Rick for Rockwell? And then Rick, do you have anything for us? Anything else from us that you need to put out there? Something you need from Rizzo, et cetera?
No, so at this point, you know, we'll probably be back on site later on in this week to coordinate with the balancer. We did talk to TrueFlow yesterday. They are on the second floor. They're going through the DOAS units in the classrooms. They're starting on the second floor. And then from there, just working their way down, and then they're going to jump over to Rockwell. You know, I understand the hope is Johnson will be finished up hopefully early next week, and then they'll move over to the other school. But you know, Johnson, we're in process of reviewing the lighting, the fire alarm, and the second floor zoning of the HVAC as well. I think the only question I would have for the Townsend, and again, Geraldine might have this answer, is I believe the town owns the network switches for the IT room. I'm not sure if this is on the town, but my only question would be is just when those network switches would be installed, just because I would like to request remote access to the automation system when school starts. So I think that would be my only question from the town standpoint.
And the installation of those switches is waiting for all of the cabling to be completed and tested. So the town's vendor is ready to install all the network equipment. And a lot of things are waiting on the network being live. So as soon as the infrastructure is in, they're ready to go.
And where are we with that process? Do we know?
I don't know, if Ken has an update from Ferguson and Mercury.
They're working on it right now. I don't have the date when I'm going to have the reports. By the end of the week, we should have Johnson by the end of this week.
Yeah, Johnson is done. We're just waiting for testing.
Just need the reports back from them.
Okay. And then, so Rick, you don't have a specific report on Johnson because you're still working on that process? Rick Bielecki?
I'm back. I apologize. I have Frontier Communications, so
Yep.
I'm back.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I keep getting messages that my internet is unstable. And I keep trying to tell them that I'm unstable and they better watch out.
Absolutely. But like I said, that's my only question. I'm sorry, Geraldine, I didn't hear you on the network switches.
So,
We're still waiting for the cabling to be completed and tested. So we're ready to put in the switches. They're like standing at the door waiting to do that. So.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic.
But Ken reported that he's hoping by the end of the week that we're able to actually start that install.
Okay, no, that's great, just because I'd like to be able to access remotely to, work with Bob and anyone else, once the building automation system is online, so we can review this 24/7, occupied, unoccupied, and assist from our end as well. But aside from that, that's all I have, unless anyone has any questions from me. And like I said, our team will be on site later this week, and I'll meet I'll meet David on site on Tuesday next week.
and I just message David Horvath with your cell number, which I think we had to be in touch. So hopefully he can be able to be in touch with you if needed, and I can give you, or he can give you, he can text you his contact info too.
That's great, Nancy. Thank you very much.
Doing right now.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. Okay, so any other questions, concerns for Rick with commissioning? Ding. Okay, I think we're good with that, and Rick doesn't have anything more with us. Hopefully we can get an update if there's a report that Rick issues between, well, we're scheduled to have a meeting next week. So we'll have to figure out what's going to happen with that. So there's another report that you put together for us, forward it along to members, and if we need, once we figure out what we're doing with the meeting next week, that's our next regular meeting. If we need to have you jump in and give us an update, that would be great.
I will, so there will be another meeting next Tuesday at 7. I will have a report out by then, even if it's, again, it might be at the 11th hour, it might be Tuesday afternoon, I'll have it out. But again, we will have one out prior to this meeting. And if we need to attend, no problem at all. I can plan to attend next week as well.
Okay, so the meeting, that's our next regular meeting, but because we had to cancel our last regular meeting and have this special meeting tonight, I'm not sure if we're going to change depending on the needs of the project, et cetera. We haven't quite gotten to discussing that, but we will, I don't know if you have any input now on that, Geraldine, or if we want to wait till later, and if we'll just keep Rick posted.
Yeah, I'm just in terms of the commissioning report, as soon as he issues it, I will circulate it to all the commission members in any case, regardless of the timing of the next meeting. And yeah, whether the meeting is next Tuesday or whether we postpone it to September 1st based on availability, you know, we can talk about that later.
Okay. So again, anything more for Rick before he turns his computer back over to his daughter? All right, great, Rick. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Yep, you too.
I guess just sort of as a note on to follow up on the commissioning report is that we have been holding regular commissioning coordination meetings with the subcontractors, and there will be another meeting Friday morning. So there is in addition to Rick and his staff being on site to actually push through the commissioning, we continue to sort of coordinate with the subcontractors and make sure that progress is being made. So.
Okay, thanks, Geraldine. Next, we have additional site work, Johnson School, parentheses, excess dirt pile. So what's going on with the dirt pile?
So I'm going to ask Ken if he has an updated, any updated information from Earth Movers. But as of last week, I think I related to you, Nancy, it may be that there is not a need to deal with the excess dirt outside of the current contract scope at all. So I don't know, Ken, do you want to speak to that?
I was told that the current pile, they did a topo of the pile, and they believe that topsoil placed in all the areas that it needs to go for both schools, that when they're finished, they should be able to, you know, replace the field the way it was without having a large excess now. It's not what they told me before, but that's what I'm being told now.
Okay, hey, Ken, that's fine. But my question is the field that they're working on now, where it's all staged, is hard as rock. I mean, everything is it's solid. It's like pavement out there. So is there a plan to regenerate that field at the same time, retopsoil it or whatever it might be? Because it's not going to be usable the way it is now.
Well, after all the topsoil is removed, they'll place the topsoil there, and it won't be hard. It'll be I don't know if it's going to be a foot thick or so. Probably will be of you know, fresh topsoil on the field.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure that you know, gets regenerate it, because boy, that is, that's gonna be rock hard for that grass to grow or the kids to play on.
Okay. I'll make sure of
Nancy?
that.
Rich Drayton has a question.
Yeah, I'd like the engineer to make a recommendation on that. Do they need to have like a road grinder, how they chew up the roads and fill up, and then they can put the new topsoil back down on top of that?
So that's a question for somebody.
Is this the Johnson Field we're talking about?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
So my understanding, Ken, correct me if I'm wrong, is that they owe the town restoration of that field that they have been staging on.
Yes.
And current plan is to distribute whatever is left that they have not used in the other area, again, other base project areas that required soil restoration. They're just gonna spread the remaining dirt pile and restore the field using that. So
Yes.
I think that should address Roy's concern about about the depth of new material that then needs to be planted. But I don't know that addresses Rich's concern about whether we need additional engineering information to do that.
I think that's correct.
If they spread 4 or 6 inches of topsoil on that hard surface, they've been driving equipment, they were mixing concrete on top of it, that existing athletic field is like a road pavement. It's so packed. So by just putting a couple inches of topsoil on top of the existing conditions, it's not going to be acceptable to the town.
Rick, this is Joe Costa from Perkins Eastman. I agree 100%. What we'll do is we'll issue to Rizzo some instructions on how to treat that material that's been compacted and the placement of new topsoil and the reestablishment of the play surface, the turf.
Okay.
So we'll do that, and that way Ken and his folks know exactly what the design team is looking for a quality field that can drain properly and grow grass properly.
Great, Joe. Thank you very much. Yeah. That's what I want.
Not a problem.
Yeah, that seems to make sense, since obviously what the number of people have observed in doing site visits, Roy, Rich, and a few others, that they kind of said to me, the site's a mess. And I'm like, what do you mean by mess? Well, it's a mess because they've been driving around, it's all been compacted, et cetera, but to find, and to have some definition as to how to restore that area to what it was before it was used for staging pretty much all the site stuff would be helpful.
Yeah. Nancy?
Yeah, Bob?
One of the options is there, like these road reclaimers that they use where they go in and they chew everything up and then they, re-level it. That was, a thought that I had that they might use in there.
Okay, so we'll see what Perkins Eastman comes up with some for their recommendations, and then we'll have to get with Earth Movers to find out what process they'll use to get to that point of having the field restored to being a usable field.
Okay,
And then-
Nancy?
Yeah.
I don't know, I had a selectmen's meeting, so I didn't get on early. Did Roy mention about the addition to accepting that alternate?
Hey, Rich, they're not gonna have anything extra.
Well, there wasn't supposed to be anything extra in there to begin with. Wasn't that in the alternative and in the price of doing that, the $26,000? That was an alternate, not necessarily with any extra fill or anything.
Correct.
That was left over on the site.
Yep.
So,
I know that this is a special meeting and you can't add it to your agenda tonight, but maybe for the next meeting, Dr. Carver was in favor of accepting that alternate, I know, for the $26,000 to make that field longer there.
You wouldn't have that same number. The alternate prices are usually 60 days or less, unless you get an extension. We did get an extension for June when we were asked to extend the alternates after the bid, but they're no longer in effect.
I don't know.
what?
Maybe have not Rizzo, but Earth Mover get your price on what it would cost to do now. I don't know.
Yeah, we could do that.
While we're talking about the landscaping and site work at Johnson, along the base of the softball field, the third base line down to home plate, is there going to be a retaining wall put there, or is that steep embankment going to stay there? Because that bank is I mean, that's one hell of a steep bank. I thought one time there was supposed to have been a retaining wall put there. Is that on or off, or was that something I
Dreamed about?
dreamed about?
There's no retaining wall now.
I was up there last weekend and walking around, and that drop off is I mean, it's a sheer drop off. It's going to be a weed generating factory because it's not going to be able to get mowed. No one can sit down to watch a game. I think we need to really look at that and come up with something for that. So that's just, I don't see how it's acceptable.
Acceptable by whom?
Anybody. I mean, it's probably a 14-foot almost straight drop down from the top level where the sidewalk is, going off the sidewalk a few feet and then down to the field. It's probably a good 14-foot almost straight drop.
It will be difficult to mow and maintain.
Yeah, you're going to see weeds that are the size of trees.
Yeah. John, what we can do is we'll take a look at it. We're not sure if that's final graded and has been planted out. So I'm not sure if it's actually finished yet, but we'll check it out. We'll check out the docks. We'll check out the field conditions and let you know our opinion on that. If something has to be added to it or revised, we'll let you know about that as well.
Yeah, because I mean, I know there's also, Joe, there's a catch basin down there that has, a dirt cover on it right now. And that is almost clogged up with dirt. I mean, it's going to be a mess there. It really is. Even if it's a halfway up retaining wall and something. I don't know.
We'll take a look at it.
On that hillside, it looks like it's almost a one-on-one grade rather than a two-on-one.
Yeah.
I know there's work over there associated with that portion of the site to make that field accessible, but that might be further up towards home plate.
I think it is. It's as you go out, you get past where the dugout is along the third baseline, and the bank gets really steep in there.
Right.
Then
yeah, I'm trying
then
to.
it starts tapering off again.
Nancy, I have a question.
Yep, go ahead.
I couldn't hear before. Did Mr. Costa say that is going to include drainage on that field?
So which field are you talking about, Bob?
You're talking about the turf field, Bob?
No, I wish. No, not the turf field, but the where the dirt pile was. Well, once it's gone. All that hard pan you're just talking about. Will there be drainage installed in there?
You mean drainage tile or piping or something on that along that line?
Something.
Yeah, because generally those fields are going to drain, through the topsoil and into the base. And that's one of the reasons why you have to break up the sub base and not have a compacted soil, because you want that field to drain properly. I don't believe that we actually have drain tile or piping to drain that field. I don't think it's that type of field. It's not, you know, professional grade or anything like that. But I will ask the
Okay.
landscape architect, and you know, what his thoughts are. But my opinion, having done lots of ball fields, if you break up the subsurface material properly, it should drain just fine. Because you want that water not to sit, you know, basically on almost like a pavement like compacted material.
Okay. I
But
didn't hear
I'll
you
let
say
you
that
I'll
before.
let you know, Bob, what, you know, what his plan is for that.
Okay, thank you.
So anything more questions on field, site work, et cetera, or anything in general on the construction process?
This
One
might be a
point
good
on the-
place.
On the field, Nancy.
Dave?
Yep. But I've had this discussion with Rich and I'm reminded of many years ago when that field was built. Immediately after it was built, it was as hard as a rock. And it remained that way forevermore. It's never been a decent, appropriate, softer field. It's always been like pavement. And you can hear the kids running. I mean, really running. It's a noisy field. So all the discussion that we've been having about what you need to do to make an appropriate field is good in my opinion, because it'll be much better than what was there before.
We just have to determine what was already part of the project and what
Right.
might be additional.
Right. So if there's, you know, if there's soil augmentation that has to be done, we'll let you know about that as well.
Okay, great.
Right. Thank you.
Geraldine, you had started with something?
Yeah, only that since we're talking about site work, I thought this might be an appropriate time to report that we did finally receive the state's approval to procure the playground equipment. So we will be working with Altiplay, the designated vendor, and with the finance department to get those purchase orders issued. The playground equipment is not going out to bid, as you all might recall. We're working off of the terms of the state contract. And the original estimates were 4 to 5 weeks for the ordering period. So we're going to get right on that this week and be prepared to have the playgrounds installed probably mid-October when the site work, the associated site work in those areas is completed.
Okay. So just back for Ken and Jim, you had mentioned about overtime, et cetera. So are you having people working either a second shift or on weekends to make sure that things are ready for move in end of August and opening of school in September?
Yes, we do second shift for some of the contractors that would hamper others, you know, flooring, the mitigation of the floors on the first floor. Things like that, we'll have them on second shift, and everybody else is mostly on overtime and Saturday. Most all of the people that we need to get our TCO are definitely on overtime.
And as
Yeah.
far as your work with building department, fire marshal, et cetera, is that looking like the TCOs, you're getting things done in an appropriate period of time so that they're comfortable with their issuing the TCOs?
Well, it's been fairly regular this week with Tom and Chris. We have a schedule laid out for next week to demonstrate some of the things they're looking for, the sprinkler flow tests, fire alarm tests. You know, we've been walking this week with them, closing above ceiling, getting all the smoke rating issues taken care of. So yeah, again, they'll be out here again tomorrow, walking Rockwell for an above ceiling inspection.
Okay, good. I know that during the aftermath of the storm, you did not lose power, so you were able to continue with construction. And even though that storm was a lot more wind than it was rain, you still didn't have any issues with roof leakage, et cetera. So that's, you know, that was good information.
Actually, we did it at Rockwell. And we still have 2 spots there that we're working on with the roofer now.
Okay, that's good to know. So our next item on the agenda, or bullet on the agenda, is budget review. So before we move into that, does anybody have anything more specific on construction progress, questions on construction, etc.? Okay, good. Budget review.
So this is the budget for current budget at Johnson. We are approximately 61% invoiced for the entire project and sitting at 65% for construction scope alone. And that tracks with the completion that we're seeing on site. On Johnson, we have the good fortune to still have over $2 million in the owner's contingency, in addition to the CM's contingency. So this project is obviously tracking very well. On Rockwell,
Not so much.
well, we're a little bit farther along on, luckily, we're a little bit farther along on both progress and billing. That's mostly a function of the size of the project, obviously. So we're billed out at about 69% of the total project, and construction is at about 72% invoiced. And again, that tracks with the progress that we're seeing. And here at Rockwell, though, we are down to $324,000 in the owner's contingency.
But we still have contingency, Sue, to in the construction manager. There may be some items there that need to be dealt with in that way, which we still have to discuss later.
Yes. So yes, so that is the status of the budget.
And then in some areas where we had, were those moved to a different line?
You broke up, Nancy. I didn't
So
get the whole question.
a while back when we had some savings on FF&E, were those amounts moved to somewhere, our contingency or somewhere else, or are they still there as an excess?
No, they've been moved to contingency. So that's why, for instance, on Johnson here, when you look at the owner's contingency, it's showing that we've actually added $424,000 to the contingency from other line item savings. So even change orders that we've entertained on Johnson have come out of, haven't affected the owner's contingency. It started at 1.6 million, and right now we still have 2 million.
Okay.
So yes, so those numbers, so those amounts have been realigned in the budget. On Rockwell, some money had been given back to the owner's contingency, but not to the extent at Johnson. So, so in this case, we've used it. We started at 867 and spent down 542,000 of that, in addition to the 250 that was in the environmental contingency, which is why we're sitting here at 324.
Right. Okay. Does anybody have any other budget questions for Geraldine?
I think the important application here is as we review proposed change orders. So again, at Johnson, change orders that have been approved to date. This is, we see the tabulation of them down here, small print at the bottom. Change orders to date in the amount of $326,000, and then noting the same balance that came off of the budget sheet, 2 million and the 83,000 here. So at Johnson today, we have 4 change orders that we're presenting. Let me back out a little bit here. First one is PCO number 40. In the existing, no, this is in the new stair at Johnson. The stair crosses a window, and Dr. Carver and the school community asked if we could add a railing across the window opening. It's, I guess there's a little gap, obviously, because the stairwell doesn't hit the window, it hits the walls on the side of it. So they asked if we could add railing along that area. This was a while ago, so I'm hoping I'm characterizing that correctly. Joe Collada can jump in if I am not describing that exactly correctly.
Yeah, I think it was actually the building official that requested it.
Oh, okay, yeah, because of a small gap between the stair and the wall.
So is the railing that's been put in place, I'm sure it may already have been done.
Yes. Yes, it was, because it was back when that whole stair came together.
Create a situation where they're, right, and so it's done in a way where little feet and fingers and things like that aren't going to get stuck in there.
Exactly.
Okay. So is that a change order you're asking us?
Yes, we are. So that railing cost and the installation work, the additional pieces.
Are we doing change order approvals right now?
Yes. Wait, well, what would you like to do?
So are we going to go, like, are we just going to look at the log right now, or are we going to start approving change orders?
Well, I would move through all the change orders and ask for review and approval
Okay.
first.
Go through the approval if we go through it.
What was that question?
If we're gonna do the change, go through review the change order, where the request is, let's either approve or deny it now, right? Why go back again?
Right.
Okay. So are you going to stay at the log, or are you going to put the pages of the change orders up? Because,
Yes.
I mean, the numbers are there.
Absolutely.
The numbers are there. I don't think you need to put them up, but
I'm always happy to do that. Yes, so here's the cover sheet of this change order. These were all circulated, so hopefully you were all able to look at the detail.
Mhm.
But this change order, change order PCO 40 in the amount of $5,064.97.
okay. So I will start with making motions, and then we can do discussion if needed, because we already started discussion, but I'll make a motion that we approve PCO number 40 for Johnson School for additional railing at window and stair 2
Second.
in the amount of $5,064.97. Who was that second? Was that Dave? Dave Olson?
Yep.
Second. Any more discussion on this? And I'm assuming you're saying.
Recommending approval, yeah.
So let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Since I can't see everyone, if you're opposing, please holler or jump in, unmute yourself, say something. Okay, that passes.
Just let me know that it's all coming out of contingency, like owners or anything like that.
So, right, anything that we.
Oh, I won't even go back to that.
Approve is going to come out of, is going to result in a change. If we approve the proposed, so any we approve the change orders will come out of owner's contingency because it will result in a change to the GMP.
Right.
Okay. So what was the question? Somebody just jumped in with? We're good? Okay, so that passed. Next one.
All right, the next one at Johnson is PCO 64. Now this the team has had some discussion about. This work was done by Ferguson to connect. So this was work that was necessitated during demolition on the second floor classroom wing at Johnson. The MDF, the cable, the Crown Castle fiber comes to the building, or it did originally come to the building, to a second floor IT room, essentially. And so at the time that we were going to do demolition of the second floor, there needed to be a temporary connection made so that the rest of the school would continue to have internet and connectivity. So obviously this was back when we were thinking school was going to go back into session. So this temporary cross connect was done. And the discussion on the project consultant side is whether this is in fact a result of phasing work, or is this an owner's contingency item because it is an owner-owned system, and that is the the fiber coming to the building and then distributed throughout the building. So I am recommending that this be taken out of the owner's contingency. I do believe it has to do with owner service to the building, and that sort of overrides the fact that the work had to be done because of phasing of the project.
So then I'll make a motion that we approve PCO number, what's the number? Because it's cut off.
64.
60. Sorry, for Johnson, 5 cents, and it has to do with the interconnect between the old data cabinet and the new data closet.
Right.
So I need a second.
Second.
That was Dave Olson. And any discussion on this? Gerald, vote. Again, this will come out of our owner's contingency as it would result in a change to the GMP. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Is anybody opposed? Done.
All right, we have a small change in one of the well, actually both of the gang bathrooms on the first floor at Johnson. It's change order 73. The pipes, the rough plumbing was put in for the sinks, and then during further renovation work in those areas, an existing column was revealed in the common wall between the two bathrooms, between the two restrooms, which required us to move some of the rough plumbing over because the actual sink wouldn't fit in the space that was left between the existing column. And it's in the amount of $591.39. So again, recommend approval out of the owner's contingency.
So I'll make a motion that we approve proposed change order 73 at Johnson School for having to move some plumbing because of an existing column in the amount of $591.39. Dave Olson seconds. Any more questions, comments, etc. on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Done.
All right, now also at Johnson spray foam. So during an inspection by Tom Galliford a couple of weeks ago, he discovered or noticed that there was a lot of existing spray foam. It's throughout. You can see on the, let's see, on this drawing. Yeah, so at Johnson, it's at the top of the wall on the first floor around the whole the front wing of the administration area, and then a little bit in the back by the music rooms. And then it also is around the entire perimeter of the second floor classroom walls. And Tom took a sample of that and took it back home and lit it on fire and discovered that it was highly flammable. And he required that we remove every bit of this orange spray foam that was existing in the building, probably from the 1970s, Joe Collada, I think we figured.
I'm not sure when it's from.
Yeah, but it was old and existing and highly flammable, and Tom required that it be removed in its entirety. So Rizzo had laborers up there over like 2 weeks, chipping away and pulling out all of this old foam.
Do we have to worry about putting something back in there? Does it serve a purpose?
Joe, you want to address that?
So it was not part of the original building construction and was not considered in the energy model. So based on that and based on the energy model, we don't need to replace it.
So it's not for drafts or anything like that?
I'm not sure why it was installed. It could have been for drafts. Looking at our detail, we should be able to not worry about that. But
Okay.
at our roof edge. So it was brought up by Chris about being able to see daylight. I think it was at Johnson, might have been at Rockwell. But based on our detail, once the roofing is complete, there should be no issue there.
Okay. Thank you.
So was it something that had to be abated, or was it just, it wasn't hazardous, so it just needed to be gotten rid of?
Yeah, it's not a hazardous material. They just needed to chip all of it out and dispose of it because of the flammability properties.
Got it. So I'll make a motion, and then if we need to discuss it further, we can. So I make a motion that we approve. I'm assuming we're going to approve it. Change order number 74, proposed change order number 74 for Johnson School, removal of the orange spray foam insulation. Per the instructions of the fire marshal in the amount of 25 cents. I need a second.
Okay.
Dave Olson seconds. So we had a few questions, but if we have more, please bring them up now. So according to Joe Collada, you weren't sure what the purpose of it was. It didn't seem to be needed to stop any kind of air or cold infiltration, because it seems to be all up near the perimeter, near the roof. Is that true?
It might have been installed for that. What I was saying is that we did not consider it in the energy model. So in the energy model, we modeled assumed existing conditions based on the drawings,
right,
versus the proposed building systems and mechanical and insulation that we added, especially at the new spaces. And we were about, I forget what the exact number, 23 or 25% better than baseline. So that was not considered as part of the energy model. Now, why it was installed, I'm not sure. It could have been for drafts. It could have been, I couldn't really tell you why it was installed.
but the fact that it's not going to be there.
Yeah, we weren't considering it as part of the design, so.
So the fact that it's not going to be there isn't going to affect the energy efficiency, et cetera,
Correct.
of the space.
Right.
Okay.
Bob Germanero, do you have any concerns? Or you... No.
I mean, no, if Tom doesn't think it's required as a fire stop or a smoke barrier, no.
Yeah, it's definitely not a fire stop because it,
Not a fire
I don't know if you saw the video, it went up like a candle.
Yeah.
Like on the 4th of July.
It's an accelerant.
Yeah.
Well, now it'll help me bring more fresh air in the building.
Yeah, sometimes having that, I mean, not a fire stop, so to speak, but to have a reduced airflow in an area is something that also stops fires from spreading. But that stuff would just be gone.
In
Bill?
removing the material, does that mean that the wall has to be painted or treated? And is that additional cost?
It's all above finished ceiling heights. So no, there would not be any additional finish work. And as Joe pointed out earlier, the detailing of the roof edge is different now, and that will also close any gaps.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any other questions on this one? We did have a second, right, Kath? Probably. Okay, so let's take a vote then. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Good with that.
All right, that's it for Johnson. At Rockwell, we have 3 proposed change orders. Let's see. 68, 69, 73. This must be 68. in one of the classrooms, the millwork was already fabricated when an additional chase had to be created in a corner during coordination of the mechanical systems. So there's a chase in a corner of room 112 that takes the storm line vertically. And so to modify actually it's cubbies, to separate and modify the cubbies so that they actually fit with this additional chase. This is a change order in the amount of $628.95.
Okay, so I will make a motion that we approve. What's the number of it? It's kind of cut off.
68.
Proposed change order number 68 at Rockwell School, modification of the cubbies in classroom 112 in the amount of $628.95. Dave Wilson seconds. Any more discussion or questions on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done.
Let's see, 73 is for painting the floor of the boiler room. So what we asked Rizzo to provide us with was a cost to clean, prep, and just put a new coat of paint, finished paint, on the walk areas in the boiler room at Rockwell while we create that separate project and determine how we're going to fund and actually abate the material that's underneath. So this is $1,128.75 to just clean up the floor of the boiler room. This is not abatement. This is not encapsulation. This is just to give them a new clean surface in that boiler room until we attack the concrete issue.
Nance,
Whoops.
I'll make a motion to
So I'll make a motion.
discuss. Yeah.
All right, so you got to you want me to make the motion because I've got it in front of me?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm making a motion that we approve proposed change order number 73 at Rockwell School to clean and paint the boiler room floor in the amount of $1,128.75. $1,128.75.
Second.
Dave Olson seconds. Questions, comments, discussion?
Question. Will that include the stairs, the concrete stairs leading into the boiler room? Since 2 samples were taken of
Good
those
question.
stairs?
I'm gonna say yes, but
Yes.
okay.
So again, Gerald, yes. So,
Yes.
but as you said, Geraldine, this is not encapsulating, it's not sealing, it's just making it clean so that workers going in and out, et cetera, aren't tracking stuff. And this is not part of the process of remediating that floor, correct?
That's correct. I mean, right now there's some gray paint, there's some red paint, there's some clear concrete. This is just to give them a finished surface that was relatively inexpensive, so that we're not reworking, any of that area when we do abate the floor paint that's hazardous.
Nancy?
And it does include the stairs. Questions?
Yeah,
Questions, please jump in. Just jump in if you have a question.
Nance? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to be talking about that proposal from Weston and Sampson tonight for this room. And part of the proposal is that they want to come in and look at the room in its state it's in right now. And I think if I'm not against doing this at this time, I think we need to hold off until we decide what we're going to do with the remedial action plan proposal. If we can hold this off, table it until at least another meeting or two, because they want to see the floor, what's there, and they want to do some evaluations. And if we cover it over, it's gonna it's gonna make that process even harder at this time.
Yeah, that makes sense. We could also ask you to approve the action, but just not give them the authority to go ahead with the work until after Weston and Sampson has had a chance to
Right.
be in. But
Yeah, you know, that's a good point, Geraldine, because we can give them the authority, but not until after the remedial action plan is developed. And then, because that's going to be a staging process, which we'll talk about shortly.
yeah,
We can approve it tonight, but hold off doing it until we give them the okay to do it. Does that make sense?
Yes, we can approve the amount tonight and we can have, is there, what we need to find out though, is there a problem with not doing the work before school starts?
well, it's an appearance and a sort of a cleanliness issue. And we would have to coordinate when that floor is painted with when Bob cannot have people in that room for a day anyways. So I think I would assume we have some flexibility. Maybe Bob can.
I would say do it before the heating season, because the heating season is going to bring me people in and out of that room.
Yeah.
Well, if we approve the proposal tonight, they are ready to start doing their evaluation immediately.
That's not on the agenda.
So it's
No, it's
something
not
that
on the agenda.
all the information was sent
On the
in.
agenda.
Yeah, so all the information was sent out, but it's not on the agenda.
Well, it would fall under professional services, additional services requests.
Okay,
Okay.
I mean, just,
Just change your motion to say pending remediation consult for the boiler room paint.
okay.
Approve
So
to
for the
do,
boiler room
like,
paint, all right, so I will change my motion to add,
pending remediation consult.
what Kathy
Thank
said,
you, Kathy.
that we will
There
make
you go.
order the way I said it, pending meeting with the remediation consultants.
Okay.
And whoever seconded it, are you okay with that change? That was Dave, right? All right, so any more comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
all right. So the last one for Rockwell is,
Is anybody opposed? Done.
oops, sorry. Thought that happened. All right, and the last change order for Rockwell, the last change order number 69. This is to replace the concrete that was removed for remediation purposes. This is, I believe this is about 90% of the concrete that had to be replaced. Ken, you can jump in if I'm incorrect. I think that this does not include the admin area workroom. So there was a 5x5 pad of concrete that had to go back in there, and it doesn't include a patch of concrete that is removed in the receiving area near the old electrical room. But other than
That's
that,
correct. That's correct.
okay, so other than that, this is the cost of replacing all of the floor slabs that were removed throughout the buildings. And then we'll get that second, subsidiary PCO shortly. So this is in the amount of $38,770.90. And if we had environmental contingency left, it would come out of there, because this is solely due to abatement of hazardous materials on the floors.
This is work that's already done?
So this is, yes.
Okay.
And it's not the actual abatement part, which I think we've approved at other times, but it's the putting the concrete back in place.
Right, you already approved removing the concrete. Now we gotta put the floors back into shape.
And since it would be considered under abatement, is it something that falls into that category of definite sort of reimbursement from the state because of
Yes, we're gonna
necessity?
we're gonna carry that amount under the environmental expenditures worksheet and include it in the amount of the excess abatement cost that we had to bear at Rockwell.
So to keep discussion going, I'll make I'm assuming you're approving or
Yeah.
telling us we should
Yeah, recommending approval.
approve. So I'll make a motion that we approve proposed change order. Make a motion that we approve proposed change order number 69 for Rockwell School for the prep and infill of slabs that had to be removed due to PCBs in various locations throughout the first floor in the amount of $38,770.90.
Second.
Dave and Roy both second. So is there more questions or et cetera on this? So that takes our so the infill part in a future change order. Is that correct, Ken or Jim?
I'm sorry, you broke up.
Yeah, my internet connection is unstable.
Yeah.
And so am I. So there's going to be an additional amount for that, for at least that small part, the 5x5 you talked about, but
It was 10 by 10, but that's okay. There's another larger area at the receiving, which is probably about the same square footage.
Mhm.
There is going to be another part to this, but it's not going to be anywhere near.
obviously that much.
Yeah.
Right. So any other questions? On this? Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Anybody else? Aye. Anybody opposed? Done.
Excuse me, Nancy? Nancy?
Yep.
All right,
Nancy, I have to
yeah,
jump
Bob.
off. We have a structure
ahead, Bob.
fire I gotta go to.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Not a school.
No, a
Right.
deli.
All right, go. A deli.
Be careful, Bob. God bless.
Yeah, take care. Okay, so we're done with change orders?
We're done with change orders.
Okay, so the next item is, I'm losing stuff here because I'm unstable.
Professional services.
Okay, professional services, additional services request. I think Roy, your little subcommittee has not met. We had a little difficulty trying to meet in the past week and a half with internet
So we're working on getting
connections
some,
and tower outages, et cetera. So they're working on getting John and Dave together, Dave Olson
yep. Been a
together
struggle.
to get
It's
that
been a
completed.
struggle last week, but we're working on it for this week or next week.
Okay, thanks. And John Menti. So
Yes.
you did send those proposals. I saw them. I hope you sent them to the entire commission.
I did not. I sent some, I thought this was going to be put into the package that was supposed to have been sent out.
So Geraldine, did you receive it?
I did not get them.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
well, let me tell you what's going on in a nutshell.
okay,
I did some inquiring, and there's a company, an engineering firm, Weston and Sampson, out of Glastonbury, Connecticut. They have an employee, his name is Malcolm Beal, who is probably, I was told by numerous people, is probably one of the foremost PCB experts in the state of Connecticut. Malcolm has a great relationship with the Region 1 EPA, which Connecticut is under Region 1. And he also has a great relationship with the Connecticut DEP PCB unit. Malcolm did the plan for the, I think it was Cheshire High School, Roy, he said, or Southington, when they had the big PCB thing up there.
Can't
But
remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he does. And I had a couple conversations with him. We had a telephone meeting with him, myself, John Perna, and Roy a week ago to find out what exactly we can and can't do with the Rockwell PCB issue. And basically, he did say to us, if we don't do it, if we do nothing, that's against the law. So one of the things we talked about is doing what they call an RAP, or remedial action plan. Basically, the remedial action plan he would want to come in and look at everything, take pictures, measurements, and develop this remedial action plan. The remedial action plan doesn't necessarily mean we have to remediate the area. It could include he suggested on the telephone conversation that next summer we go out and scarify the floor to a depth to be determined and put a 2-part epoxy on it. And then on a yearly basis, the room would have to be an air sample and a wipe sample for PCB. It'd be far less cheaper than digging up and replacing everything. If the school is to ever be shut down and changed to a different type of occupancy, which will never happen to anybody's lifetime on this call, then it would have to be changed. It would have to be remediated. So he's basically suggesting that come up with what they call the remedial action plan. He would submit it to the Connecticut and to the federal government for approval. He's done this many times in other school districts with great success. And he would come to the site, do their evaluation, submit the plan. Before he'd submit it to the 2 agencies, he would review it with us for our approval, and then he would submit it. Basically, the plan would have to be kept on record in the town. And then the yearly testing would have to be kept on record in the town. And that's kind of it in a nutshell. And we're looking at about $11,900 for the plan, the development, the meetings with the state and with Regional 1 EPA personnel, and coming down here. Roy, I mean, you want to add anything else?
No, that's good, John.
I know John Perna, he asked a lot of questions because John, as we know, was involved with this when he was in New Canaan, and talking to John afterwards, he felt extremely comfortable with Mr. Beal's information and his approach.
This is a common thing that we've done in places in the other chemical plants as well, where you identify it, and only if you change the service do you necessarily have to go back in and do anything.
Right, exactly, Dino. Yeah, he's also said he's done it for individual, private corporations and so forth.
So, and what Dina was mentioning in other kinds of buildings, there isn't a difference between what we would have to do because it's a school?
No. He did say, if you were he did talk about the high school, one of the schools they did do, the insulating wrapping on the inside of the walls did have PCBs. And in order to remove that, you would actually have to demo the entire school. And they received a stay of execution, if you will, not to do that. He said, seeing how what we've done already in the schools as far as remediation of PCBs and the ductwork and the paint and so forth, and what we encapsulated, he said, both the state and the feds would be extremely happy with this. And also in the fact that this is a boiler room, which is not a student activity area. It's not a public area. It's a closed area with limited access under lock and key. It would be a much easier sell to both the agencies. And also being at the far end of the building, away from the student population.
So is this something that the amount of this would come out of the project, or would it be something separate?
I think to develop the remediation action plan, I think it would have to come out of the project.
Okay,
When next year in the summer, like for example, next summer, if we wanted to do the scarification and the epoxy, that would have to come out of it, not of the school, but out of our budget at all. That's something that the Board of Ed would have to put into their budget to have it done as a separate, total separate project from the main project here.
okay. So now, unfortunately, John,
Yes.
I appreciate all the work that you, Roy, John, everybody put into it. It was very thorough. But because the reports were not sent around to all the public site members and not included in the documents that were put online for the meeting, I don't believe we're able to act on it tonight.
Okay, what I'll do is this, I will send it to all the members tomorrow.
Yep.
Actually, Kathy, I'll send it to you if you could send it out, because I don't know if I have everybody's information. And if you could send it out to everybody, and then next week's meeting, we could discuss it then.
Yes, because then we could make sure that it is included in the meeting documents. It's I still don't understand why we have to do this, since it's not something we have to do when we meet in person, but it has to be posted with the meeting documents online, blah, 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 all that. Yeah. But
Well, yeah, I'll send it to Kathy tomorrow.
Okay.
And then she can distribute it to the whole entire group.
Right.
And then we can discuss it in more detail. I think it's fair that if everybody reads the information he developed, I think you'll feel more comfortable.
It would be very helpful. And I, again, appreciate all the work that you and John and Roy, et cetera, put into this, because it's, I think it's a great kind of answer to the situation that we have, and being able to take care of it as in the future is going to help out a lot.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for John, or will we wait for the report to come around so everybody can read it and discuss it further next time?
I want to make one comment, and that is that the only way that the cost of that professional service would be considered reimbursable by the state is if we have it competitively priced. So I just think,
they are they're on the state.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes, that was one of the first questions I asked.
Yeah, okay, good.
Department of Administrative Services, yeah.
Okay.
All right, good. Okay, now we have to do the fun part, pay people.
Oh, can I jump in on one thing on that last agenda item? So the reason, one of the other things that I circulated that we're not asking you to deal with was an additional proposal from DTC, the engineers for the project. They had offered a proposal to assist the district in sort of re-engineering the mechanical systems, or just evaluating the mechanical systems to see how many of the COVID reopening guidelines could be implemented. We had a couple of meetings on this with the engineers, the subcontractors, with Rick Bielecki. Bob sat in on those meetings. And the engineers just sort of offered up, we can help you like implement the entire reopening guidelines standards, but you're going to have to pay us to re-engineer the systems. So I'm sorry that Bob's not still on, but he and I had a discussion, and he understands what's required, or what the options are under the reopening guidelines, and how far he wants to take pushing our systems to provide more ventilation and more air exchanges. He's trying to achieve parity between all of the schools. They don't want to provide just a really higher quality level at Johnson and Rockwell, and then not be able to implement the same items across all of the schools. And at the end of the day, Bob is just going to work with his own controls contractor and the maintenance contractors, and make the decisions on how to adjust ventilation levels and flush outs and some of the other items that he's going to implement based on the COVID reopening guidelines. So I did circulate that proposal, but we're not asking you to deal with it because Bob feels that it's not necessary.
Okay, thanks, Geraldine. And I had seen some of the emails that were going back and forth about that situation, and yeah, Bob did in writing say that he was going to work with it on his own through the controls, et cetera.
And Rick's been a big help in helping him and helping Bob identify where might the issues be with trying to push systems that were not meant to either bring in, you know, hot, humid, extra ventilation air, or what happens when you run exhaust fans for 24 hours. So sort of, you know, Rick's been a big help in helping to evaluate what the systems are meant to do and what they can do and where the issues might be. So I think that that'll be adequate.
Okay, thanks. Anything else on construction, budget, schedule, et cetera, before we start jumping into doing invoice approvals? Anything from public site, anything from, I think Ken and Jim are still on, and Joe. Okay. So,
yeah, so apparently I did not upload the Rizzo application for payment, but I did distribute it. So
I have the hard copy, so I can, Ken did drop it off to Kathy. Kathy got it to me. So I have the cover page and the amounts. You probably have them somewhere, Geraldine. You probably just don't have it on the drive.
exactly, I do have them, but I always have trouble like sharing my screen if I don't have it on the, let's see.
I have to find my blue pen so I can okay things.
Let's see.
I have Rockwell in front of me now. I don't know if you're, it's probably on the shared file.
Yeah, I'm trying to, let me see if I can get just the front pages up.
Yep, I see it.
There we go. All right, Rockwell, let's see.
Yep.
All right, Rockwell.
Okay. And as Geraldine said, again, all this stuff was circulated, so you've had a chance to look at it. So I will make a motion that we approve a Rizzo application for payment for Rockwell School. Invoice number, or application number 17. In the amount of current payment due,
Yes.
$967,499.35.
I'll second.
I got a second from Dave Olson and Roy, I think.
Yep.
All the documentation is attached. Any questions on this? This is dated August 10th because it was supposed to be for last meeting. So it's through, I'm sure, the end of July.
That's right.
Okay, any questions on this? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Is anybody opposed? Done. And now we'll do Johnson. I make a motion that we approve Rizzo's application for payment number 17 for Johnson School in the amount of $2,186,814.12.
Okay.
Dave Olson seconds. Questions? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Is anybody opposed? Done. All right, into the rest of the invoices. I think I have hard copies for most of them, and if I don't, I'll have to print them and so I can sign them and get them to Kat. So where do you want to start? Enviromed, somewhere, whatever.
Whatever you've got up.
I have some Enviromed.
There's 2 Enviromed, a Myers invoice, and then Perkins and STV.
And I might have others, but they might be new, so they might not be anything that you've gotten yet that are part of this. So, Enviromed?
Okay.
Yep, I got that one.
Okay.
So I make a motion that we approve Enviromed Services invoice number 19008 dated July 27, 2020. And this is for a whole lot of abatement.
So this is all associated,
Monitoring.
this is all associated with the roof replacement. So this is testing, air monitoring, and then monitoring of the abatement portion of the roof removal, because there were PCBs in the mastic on the deck, asbestos in the flashing, and so these are all the costs associated with roof replacement.
And this is Rockwell.
Rockwell, yep.
I don't know if I said that in the beginning, Kathy. So this goes with Rockwell. And this is, so if it's all the roof replacement, it's over an extended period of time, I'm assuming.
Right, this is from March. These are charges March through June.
Okay.
Inclusive. So this is all of the roof monitoring.
Okay, so I have a motion. I need a second. Anybody?
Second.
I got Roy, second. Any questions on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, that one's good. And the other Enviromed should be 24, yes. So I make a motion that we improve Enviromed Services invoice number 19024, $9.80. And this is asbestos and PCB abatement monitoring for April and May. And it's just general building, not roof?
That's right. So this is interior work. So this is gym, all the floors that were replaced, the soil testing that had to be done after concrete floors were abated. What else did we have here? But again, it's for just all the work done in April and May. You'll see on the tabulation that many of the test results we requested to be rushed. Oh, I guess I didn't highlight it. Maybe not. But this was work done to comply with the schedule that the construction folks needed us to comply with in order to get the abatement out of the way for them. So this is, and as I said, this is April and May. There will definitely be another invoice for June and July. And then hopefully we'll be done with abatement.
So I have a motion and did I get a second? I think from Roy. Any other questions on this? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Is anybody opposed? Done. I don't believe I have the one from Myers, but I'll print it. Sometimes invoices show up
At weird times, huh?
Well, and they show up in my registrars.
So,
Nancy, I have a copy of it if you want me to read it off.
Sometimes means they can get replaced or misplaced. I just need to print it tomorrow and sign it to give to Kathy, so I will do that tomorrow. So this is for Myers, so it's moving, and
this is the work done in June to empty the portables, to transfer some items over to Johnson, to move some items up to the middle school gym. You can see it's from, there's, various dates, probably 6 or 8 days from June 5th through the 25th. Supplies, workers, trucks. It was just to do all the miscellaneous moving that had to be done in order to clear out Rockwell so that work could continue.
so it's all for Rockwell,
It's all for Rockwell.
even though stuff got moved to Johnson. Okay.
Oh,
So I
including
need to,
packing some of the classrooms. So that was the other thing.
okay. So I make a motion that we approve invoice number 220-014455 from Myers for Rockwell School, dated July 30, 2020, in the amount of $12,112.75.
Second.
Second,
David seconds. Any other questions, comments on this? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Done. Thank you. Now Perkins Eastman.
Oh, I put Rockwell up first. Is that all right?
That's okay. Let me just get to it so I can. Okay, so this is a regular construction.
Right.
I make a motion that we approve this Perkins Eastman invoice number 68961.00.0-30 for professional service for the month of June 2020 in the amount of $4,661.24.
I second it.
Who was that? John Menti?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Any questions on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done. Then, was that, somebody ask a question?
No.
Okay, just background noise. Okay. So I make a motion that we approve Perkins Eastman invoice number 68961.01.0-12, professional services for the month of June 2020 for FF&E in the amount of $2,750.
Second.
Dave Olson seconds. Any questions, problems, difficulties, ready to go? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, done. And then Johnson. I make a motion. Geraldine will put it up there first. I make a motion that we approve Perkins Eastman invoice number 68962.00.0-30, professional services for the month of June 2020 for Johnson School in the amount of $7,685.30.
Second.
Dave Olson seconds. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, done. And then Johnson FF&E, I make a motion that we approve Perkins Eastman invoice number 68962.01.0-12 professional services for the month of June 2020 for Johnson School FF&E in the amount of $5,140.
Second.
Dave Olson seconds. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Questions? No? We're good. Okay. And then STV, that's Johnson. I make a motion that we approve invoice for STV for Johnson School invoice number 90017646. Professional services through the month of June 2020 in the amount of $19,077.50.
Second.
Dave Olson seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done. And then I think this is the last one, I hope. 'Cause I don't have any more.
Yep, that's it.
For STV, I make a motion, we approve invoice number 90017647 for Rockwell School professional services through the month of June 2020 in the amount of $50.
Second.
Dave seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done. All righty then. I have some other invoices, but I think because Kathy and probably some FF&E ones, school specialty.
Yeah, we're going to hold those until probably September because they tend to send you a bill as soon as they generate the order. Those things have not been received. So yeah, we're holding those. I think there's been a couple of other invoices that we'll deal with next week.
Actually part of FF&E, but that's the IT stuff, right?
Oh, right, yeah. So there are some ESC security invoices. We'll do those next Tuesday.
Okay, because they haven't been circulated yet, so we'll have to wait on those. I will keep them. All right, so next Tuesday is our next regular meeting, which is the 25th, I think. 24th, what's the day?
25.
Okay, let me get to my calendar. 25. So are even Ken and Jim and Joe and Joe, are we thinking we should have a meeting? I'm thinking we should. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be work to report on for the next, until Tuesday, September 8th, when the kids show up at school. There is going to be work progressing right through that time period that I think it would be valuable for the building committee to keep up on and keep having reports from Rick, from the construction side.
Good.
We'll be able to talk next week about furniture starting, if you're willing to meet, we're willing to report.
Yeah, well, that's our regular meeting, so I'm hoping people have that on their calendar and would be available. So
Let's do it.
they'll do it.
Yeah, we're coming down to the 11th hour. I think it's important that we stay on top of this.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. So so we'll look for not only an agenda, but anything that Geraldine sends along, and we'll make sure we get that all that hard work that John Menti has put together. We'll get that report so that we can deal with that, and some budget updates, etc. Anything else on school projects that anybody, I know Roy and his little stuff. Yeah, Kathy?
I just wanted to say, since I won't be at next week's meeting, Dion's going to do it for me. So she's going to actually send out the link from her own personal account, for the town. So if you guys are used to clicking on my link all the time, it'll be on the agenda and I'll have it in the email. So I'm just making sure that you guys are aware it's going to be a different meeting number, because it's easier for her to do it from her own rather than do it from mine. Just so you're
Okay.
aware. Okay.
Thank you for that reminder. Kathy will not be with us because she's going to hopefully be somewhere having fun. And as she said, Dion's doing the meeting. And since there are several different meeting account numbers that are held by town people for doing meetings, it's easier for, as Kathy said, easier for Dion to run it through her link. It's still through the town, but her link. And so when you get the agenda, that'll be a different number, as Kathy said. So either click on the link or write the number down so you can sign in. And Kathy will probably mention that in the agenda, which I'm sure she's going to send out by the end of the week, so it's done before she goes on vacation. And we'll make sure that we add in things that we need to talk about. And being a regular meeting, we can add stuff. If this was a regular meeting, John Menti, we could have added that in.
Yeah.
We just need to make sure we send the reports so that everybody has an opportunity to review them.
I forwarded them to Kathy already.
Yep,
so.
good. All right, so we'll have that meeting next week. And we're done with school stuff. We have a little bit of other stuff, so public site people need to stick around. We have a few other things to go over, but unless Ken and Jim or Joe and Joe have anything else for us, and Geraldine, you guys can. Thank you very much.
Good night.
Have a good night.
All right, the rest of you guys stick around.
Me?
Well, Dave Olson, you can go.
Thank you.
But you can stay if you want to. I know you always like to listen to some of this other stuff, but so there was an email, I had been emailing asking for updates on two parts of the police station. One was the certificate of occupancy and the other is the firing range. So both of those are being dealt with, and I didn't have the opportunity. I'm going to talk about it a little bit, but I'm also going to have to add in John Menti. I apologize for not forwarding all that stuff. I spent 3 weeks doing nothing but getting ready for the primary. That had to be my main focus. I saw the emails. I picked up on some of them. I tried to respond as best I could. Yeah, I didn't take the opportunity to forward them. My main focus had to be making a primary happen, and making it happen in the middle of a pandemic, and making it happen in the middle of a power outage.
It was an easy day for you.
Yeah, an easy day. I got up at 4 in the morning and dumped a bucket of water over my head because I still didn't have power and went off to work.
No internet, no phone.
No internet, no phone, no nothing, but I had to go to work. I think,
That was the best.
and I appreciate, John, you're keeping me in the loop about what was going on at Stony Hill. 2 of my polling places didn't have power. One had nothing. Berry School had nothing. They had to shut the generator down for a short time. They got that back up and running, and luckily, we're not going to get into the whole NeverSource thing, but had power for the primary. Most of my poll workers showed up, etc. This is going to be kind of an issue for me in the next 3 months, getting ready for the election. With a pandemic, I hope we don't have any more emergencies with storms and stuff, but it's going to be, have to be my main focus. It's my job. So I'm going to have to rely on some of you, John as co-chair and others, to hopefully keep tabs on things, help me keep things going. If I need to call on you for getting stuff done, I hope you can jump up. I appreciate, David going and doing site checks, Roy doing site checks, all of you that have done some of the site checks and have brought to me, because I haven't had time to do it, issues. Roy and I had a long conversation on Friday, and then I called Geraldine, and she had great information that kind of calmed my fears.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Nancy.
Yeah.
We were a little uncomfortable last week.
Right. And that discomfort was dispelled by not only Geraldine, but Bob and Christine, all saying they were good with the progress, etc. Yet we got to keep on top of it. In some ways we shouldn't have to. It should be done by the professionals who are running the job. But I think in each of you who have spent some time on the sites and keeping an eye on things has been really helpful.
I just
So,
like to,
go ahead, Dave.
about a week and a half ago, I was approached by somebody in town. I'm not going to say who, but they said that Tony Rizzo wants to have a personal conversation with me because of what I've been doing. And I said, under no circumstances will I have a personal conversation with him regarding any of this.
Yeah. I think we have to be careful at times. I've been asked a couple different times by Rizzo people to have an offline conversation. And I've said, if you have something, bring it to the committee.
Right.
We start having offline conversations, I think we as individuals, also, but also we as a commission could end up in deep doo-doo. So we won't be doing that. Thank you, David.
Yeah.
So back to the police station, two things. The firing range. And I had been checking in with the Board of Selectmen on this because, as we know, they have made a decision to not only retain an attorney, but have their own, and I'm saying they because they kind of took that from us, but also we agreed with their approach to having another engineering firm take a look to be representation of the town, to see the reports that we've already gotten, and then they're making a site visit to make sure that what they see and what's in the reports coincide with what the kind of remediation that's going to be done. Like, are we all agreeing on the step-by-step process? There are some things that need to be fixed, and then there's the coding. So that engineering firm is called Brecht Engineering, and they're going to be working on that, I hope, real quick, because it's already getting cooler out. So we need to get that work done, and I want it done before we get into cold weather.
Agree with that.
So I will continue to push for getting that information to us as soon as possible. We are going to be busy with keeping our schools project moving along, because even once school starts, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done at the schools.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
Well, they pushed the opening another 2 weeks, right?
The opening of school?
Yeah.
Did they?
That came out today.
That I did not see.
Yeah, that's why I didn't say anything during the meeting. Hang on one second.
So is it all schools, or is it just some, or?
1 second. Let me look at what it says, and I will tell you.
I thought selected schools in the state are doing it on their own.
I would have assumed that Christine would have said something if it was Bethel also.
Yeah, no, I'll have to go through the emails, but I'm pretty sure they said it was, like, they're going to push it 2 weeks.
Right. Hey,
and
that Dave and Nancy, I actually was surprised though that, we didn't, or they didn't just try to get an extra week out of it. I think it just would have been so much easier on parents and everyone, because it's a mess out there. And,
it is a mess. And it's also, Connecticut's numbers continue to be low.
Right.
Yet my personal opinion is wait till 2 weeks after Labor Day and see what happens. See what's going on, see if we get some increases, go from there. But I'm sure if that's something that Bethel is considering, we're going to hear it soon.
Yeah. I don't want us to be the ones slowing down the process by any means, but the kind of what Richie and I saw last week there, our comfort level was just not very high. And although the answers came back that everything is a go, we're in the industry and we are really struggling with subcontractors, materials, everything.
Right.
Every single item out there nowadays, even the simplest things to get are not.
Yeah.
So,
you can't go to Home Depot and buy some decking, you just can't do it. So
you can't do a lot of things, Nancy, that you I can't figure out totally why, but it is what it is. And I would have thought just, we did have some opportunities, I thought, to buy a little more time, and I would have thought it would have been probably, it would have been a higher comfort for myself. I know that.
Right.
But I know there's a lot of other reasons, and I know, and I absolutely respect that, but from construction side only, I think we would have been better going a little longer. So,
Well, and that was something that Roy brought up too, that, you know, find out now and let's not wait till the last minute and have
Yeah.
us as a commission be blindsided by, oh, well, sorry,
yeah,
we're not
sorry.
ready. But
And,
they're going, they're saying all along, they're ready, they're going to be ready. So we'll see.
There's a lot of work to be done out there. And,
Yep.
you know, it's just, and I hate to have it, you know, there's a lot of things that are quite disorganized in my mind. And, you know, it just leads to, you know, unhappy subcontractors, which leads for, you know, I'm not gonna say shoddy work, but not the best work. So it's just from what I've seen, you know, running jobs.
It's rushed.
Yes, it's
That's
rushed.
why I have a lot of concerns about that ductwork that had the water in it.
I absolutely agree with you 100%.
And Rich was sidestepping. It seemed to me, I even said that to Nancy in a chat, that he seemed, you know, if there's a puddle of water halfway down the ductwork and it's sitting there overnight, it's going to start growing stuff.
I know.
Got down the rest of the ductwork when it starts up in the morning.
In the ductwork.
And go through everything else.
Got to clean it. I know. It's a lot of work. Got to find out where the leak is from.
Well, that and, or, you know, like with those flex connectors too, those canvas connectors, if they're cracked already, they need to be replaced.
Those look like they're 30 years old already.
Yeah. That's why I want to go for a
terrible.
walkthrough again.
Every single one, every picture of those, they look like they're 30 years old.
I agree, Roy.
Well, and I appreciate, Dave, you're, you know, sticking with keeping an eye on it, because I think we're going to need to do that and make sure
Yeah.
that it's taken care of.
I got friends and family that goes to these schools, so they got to be safe. I want all these
Okay.
kids safe.
So back to the police station. As I said, that's what's going on with the firing range. This engineering firm is getting started on doing their review. I sent that information to Chief Pugner so that he knows, as he had been asking, but I want to keep hammering away at this to make sure it gets done in a timely fashion, so we're not faced with having to hold off because of cold weather.
Yep.
And then the other part of the police station project is, again, I apologize. So I'll use the primary as an excuse, but I forgot to forward to you, which I just did recently, an email that was sent out by Chris Baldwin to Ryan Patrick, Jeff Anderson of Downs Construction, Chief Pugner, myself, and maybe Roy.
I was on it too.
Yeah. So he basically outlined his reasons for, you know, because I guess Downs tried to contact him a few times back in April and May about getting the CO and what was he still looking for. And then he finally replied with some outstanding issues from he had a big binder full of punch list items and outstanding issues, and asking whether those things were taken care of. And I didn't see a reply unless Downs only replied to Chris. I replied to Chris and said, who are you looking for? What, you know, are you looking for this from Downs or from the commission? Because we know that there were a lot of outstanding issues a year and a half ago that have been taken care of. And I guess the flagpole lights went a little fluey recently, and that's being taken care of by Ferguson. So again, I had emailed, and it was maybe just yesterday, Chris, and said, you know, who are you looking for information from? Basically, what I see needs to happen, Downs took the permit out. Downs needs to, and they said they contacted Chris and weren't getting anything back, and that was during the time of early shutdown, et cetera. You can read the email, but basically he put up his punch list and asked Downs to confirm that all these things were done. And I think they're going to have to meet on site and do a walkthrough.
Yep. Hey, Nancy, if I can be of any help there, I'm going to see Chris Baldwin on Thursday. He had asked if I could at least walk with him through the schools also. So okay. What I'd like to do is, and I had talked to Chris probably a month and a half ago, you know, and then vacations and all the different things that were going on the police station, and told him at that time gladly sit down with him and try to help out and get our two lists to coincide so that we're all on the same page. So what I would like to do is on Thursday, I would like to talk to him also regarding the police station and see if I can jump in line with him to help out to, possibly, totalize the list. And this way we're working off of one between ours and his.
Yeah, because we need to just keep pushing him to
Yeah.
make sure it gets done. No, his focus is very much the schools, and he's spending a lot of time making sure everything's done and ready for the TCO, but we need to get
He's
this other
super-
one taken care
Yeah,
of.
he's
too.
super busy. I mean, I sympathize with him. He's got stuff going all over the place.
Got a
So I
lot of
think-
stuff.
Oh, all over. And so, wherever I can help, I was going to, I'll see what I can do on Thursday, volunteer some time with him next week and see if I can jump over and even help him out on his side a little bit. If I can, rein in the ones that he has and look at our list and maybe we could come up with one totalized list that we all agree to.
Yeah, because I think that he's pretty overwhelmed. There's a lot of
Yeah.
things that he had to put off. When COVID started, he couldn't do
Yeah, I know.
in-home inspections, et cetera. Now he's having to pick all that stuff up. People can't wait forever. And so I think he's pretty backlogged.
Yes,
So,
super.
That would
Well, I'll keep everyone posted on that. I might look for some help from the commission too, but let me at least try to get, the outline of a list. And then, maybe we can all look at it from there.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And don't be afraid to reach out to me, Roy. I can probably.
Okay, good, Dave. I might very well do that. I'm trying to set up something, let me see what works out for Chris on that end, okay? I appreciate that.
That'd be great.
Nance? Nance?
Yeah,
Yeah,
John.
one thing we gotta think about, and once this situation at the police station firing ranges is completed and approved and fixed, I know Chief Pugner is gonna go to the town for the money for the firing range equipment. And I think as a committee, this is above and beyond what we were supposed to have done, because that money was taken out when the first referendum failed. Do we want to get involved with the installation of that, or it's on the police department in the town?
Yeah.
That's something to think about.
Well, we have to think about, is it,
Finance, you cut out.
if we have, I don't know, however, about a $90,000, but I don't know as we get to say whether that happens or not.
It's our decision.
What's that, Dino?
I don't think it's our decision.
No, I don't think it is either. I don't think, we can make recommendations, but I really don't think that we get to make a decision on that. And we may have, we may be asked, what do we think, what or whatever, and yeah, we'll have to see
Just
how it
something to keep
goes.
in the back of our minds for down the road.
Yep.
That's all.
Right. All right, good. I think we're good. Anything else? Anybody else? Look for an agenda from Kathy. Remember, the meeting ID number is going to be different. And I'm sure Kathy will put it in bold, red, whatever. I'll see us sometime tomorrow, Kathy. I might have to ride my bicycle over because my truck won't start. But I'll see you at some point with everything that needs to be signed. End up for the night.
I'm all
Thank
set.
you. Thank
Thank
you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
very much.
Have a great evening.
Yep, you have a good evening too.